Part of keeping a good attitude, first of all, for me, was the fact that I had a good support system. I was fortunate, even though I've never been married, I don't have any children, I was fortunate to always work with college students or be part of organizations. And the moment, even my companies I work for, I must have had hundreds of people reach out trying to find what went wrong with me, where was I, why was I not communicating, and I felt loved and supported. I must have had so many cards and people visiting me in the different places, facilities. I must say that it was a lot better the first 6 months, and after that, you know, you stop having as many visitors, and that's where it gets hard, because you feel that that's the point you need more support. At the same time, the novelty of the problem has worn off in people's minds. They're like, well, he can take it from here. And no, I still need help. So some of the bad days are when you don't feel like you have support, and some of the good days are when you do have support. But it gets even more complicated than that, because as a stroke survivor, especially in the early months, you go through bouts of being very tired and needing rest. You know you need to do your exercises. So you do your exercises, then you take a nap, and then before you know it, it's too late to have visitors over. And so you have a small window of time to see people, and so you really have to coordinate your physical and occupational therapy, sometimes with friends. You know, I've got certain friends that take me walking, and that's how I see my friends, by doing something. So that helps me. I must admit too that I never did want to take an antidepressant because I didn't necessarily believe in them. But I also, having a PhD, I know research is very important. So when I was finally able to get on my iPhone and do some research, I started reading research about how stroke survivors were having better success if they were taking antidepressants, and the research was there to prove it. And that's when I started taking antidepressant. I took Zoloft at first, and it made me sick. I was just absolutely nauseous, so they weaned me off that and put me on Lexapro, and that seems to be working a lot better. But even with that, I have to be careful because it releases serotonin, and I find that when I'm very happy, I stay very happy, but if I ever get angry, it's intensified as well. So I have to monitor that. And so there are times, I think, with every stroke survivor where you can have a pity party. And, you know, there have been times I'm lying in the bed thinking, all my friends are out on a Friday night. My Friday nights are over. I've got to find something else to do. But then, because I'm part of these support groups on Facebook and other places, you know, because I'm posting some of the things I've done, I'll get a positive response back from somebody, and it will kick me into a different gear. And I've often found that somebody told me this a long time ago, that anytime you get depressed, the opposite of depression, it's like math or algebra. You've got to do the opposite. Like if you want to get the sides equal, you've got to, you know, do the minus and on this side and whatever. And with depression, you've got to do the opposite. Just make a list of everything you're grateful for. And it's impossible to be depressed when you have gratitude. So that's one of the things I do is just start making a list when I'm depressed. And one of the lists, I'm glad I'm alive. I'm glad that if I have something to conquer, it's something like a stroke, because a stroke, you can do rehabilitation. It might take a long time, but it's also interesting to try to figure out the brain and what you can do to do repetitive behaviors to take yourself to a different level. And when you can see improvement, that's exciting. So the fact that I might have a chance of helping healthcare professionals know how to better handle stroke, I plan on being one of those who they can look at and say he did it because he did his rehabilitation. He concentrated on speech, on occupational and physical, and included more holistic, including spiritual, whatever that means to you, being with people, getting emotional support. It takes that whole ball of wax, and you just sort of have to rotate it and keep it going.